What's up, everybody? This is Bevo.
And I'm Robert Rostick.
And thank you for tuning into this week's episode of Raising Unmanageables. Robert Rostick, this is episode 65.
65. Okay, that's the age I retire and then start working on my podcast.
When is that, like next week?
Anyway, welcome, folks.
On the set today, we got Alex Zadarozny and we got Mason Gehring. Manning the online stations, not really. So
I can't.
She can't today. So okay. We're just gonna wing this whole thing, just like we usually do. Robert Rostick.
Yes, sir.
Do you think it's necessary that we need to be liked? How necessary is it?
I'll tell you how necessary it is to be liked. I'm gonna say this. Go to www.trgstudio.net and like us. That's how important it is.
Okay.
But
okay.
Let's get down to this thing. You were telling me about a book that you were reading.
I've read this book and I just started rereading it this week. It's called The Like Switch, the L-I-K-E switch, not the light switch. And it's written by a ex-FBI agent,
right?
Who, in certain points of his career, has had to get information out of people or get close to people or be friendly with people to be able to either interrogate them or get them to give him information that he doesn't already have. And the best way to do that is to get them to like you in any one of those situations. Whether it's an interrogation, get them to like you. If it's flipping a spy and getting them to give you information, get them to like you first. And I wish we would have got the people downstairs banging on the ceiling, which is our floor, to like us a little bit better so they can cut that shit out while we're filming. However,
but the whole thing about that is that, yes, there's some construction going on. And so you're going to hear some banging around. And that's why I'm wearing my white shirt. My white shirt is I'm the foreman of that construction. No, I'm lying. I'm just above it. So it's all happening below us.
It's so clean and crisp, too,
though.
Yeah. It's like almost kind of sharp. It's stark.
So what it is, it's one of the ways that I can get people to like or dislike me. Meaning if I walk into an office place and I have this white shirt on and it's all corporate, they are going to like me.
Oh, I thought you were going to say, like, if you wear that white shirt and you pop some gloves, then you're going to do like
they're going to like me.
Exam of some sort.
However, if I walk into a creative environment, where people are thinking and of ideas and bouncing around ideas, they're going to actually sort of shun me because I'm too much of the rigidness, and I don't have the thought is that I wouldn't have the rigidness. I mean, the ability to be flexible.
Right.
So
the reason I started rereading the book was we're in this culture right now where everybody's searching for what their thing is, who they are, what's your most authentic self or your most natural self. Everybody's searching for that. And then somewhere in the middle, we have this idea of, I don't care who likes me.
Yes,
right?
We do have that idea.
I don't care about people's opinions. I don't care if my story is for you or if it's not for you, right? And I think to some extent, that's a great attitude to have because it allows you to have a thick skin for when you have criticism. But I started rereading the book again because I was like, well, how important is being liked, right? And how important is it to myself and the people that I work with? How important is that? Because if I'm coming into this situation and I'm working with people and they don't like me,
correct,
how effective am I being as a mentor, a team leader, or even just a servant of the people that are in this circle with me, right? So I started rereading the book to kind of just honestly brush up on making sure I was above board with, being a likable person. And like, I think I am to the core, but at the same time, reading some of these things and how to make friends and how to get people to like you, and then reading back over them and seeing like, oh, okay, I can identify with this. I'm already doing this. I already do these things kind of naturally. So it's kind of, I'm reading it again for like a measure of how to do it, why to do it, and is it even necessary in the first place? So,
having said that, one of the things I do know is that we as human beings are hardwired to
Right.
want to be liked.
Yeah.
Oh, and I say that to say that you look at the people that commit mass murders,
Mhm.
people that do terrible things to others, and it's in a lot of cases, not all, it stems from them being rejected
Mhm.
from the environment.
Mhm.
Now, imagine that with creatives, as you mentioned that we want to we want to be able to do our thing,
Right.
but at some point we're going to have to sell that idea,
Right.
sell that thing that we're doing. If we're doing things strictly and solely for ourselves and we're independent, that's great, that's
Mhm.
fine. But once we want to put it out into the world and we want to be recognized for that, then we have to build an audience,
Right.
and that audience has to like us. Uh, they have to like us to the point where they want to be they want a part of us. So how do we do that? Especially if we're that shy type
Right.
that do not know how to meet people, that do not know the right things to say.
Right.
So we can use the things that we don't know as a strategy. And one of the things that you were telling me this morning was about those 4 stages.
So yeah, so there's 4 points or principles or phases of friendship or making friends, and there's different levels of how they can be applied. They can be applied gradually. They can be
Mhm,
applied at all at once. But you kind of have to go through these 4 stages
mhm,
to make friends with someone. And hopefully, I don't forget number 3 because I've been forgetting it up to this point. But the
mhm.
first stage is frequency or proximity,
Proximity, yeah.
right? That deals with how close you are to that person in the same room, across the street,
Mhm.
just being in their general area, proximity. And then the second stage was frequency.
Frequency, yes.
And so, how much are they going to see you? How many times a week? How many times a day? How often are you going to encounter these people that you're wanting to be friends with?
Mhm,
Third one is duration.
mhm,
How long are you going to spend time with them? Like, in that same space?
mm,
How much time do you actually spend together? And then intensity is how deep do these conversations get? You know,
mhm,
are they shallow conversations? Are they high and by conversations? Or are they like deep conversations? By the end of our time together, do I know about your family? Do I know about your mom, your daughter, your sisters, your brother? You know what I mean? Like, do I know intimate things about you by the time that we've kind of gone through these stages of becoming friends, whether it's in a day or
mhm.
whether it's over the course of some months, some weeks or months, right? So I found those things interesting because I think it was also saying that we're programmed to want these things in the first place.
Oh,
Our
absolutely,
brains are
yes.
programmed to, even if someone is using them to their advantage,
Mhm,
we can't tell the difference between someone who wants to be friends or someone who's trying to get information out of us because of the fact that we just want to be friends with people. Our
mhm.
brains want encounters with people.
Celebrities deal with this all the time.
I would
They
imagine.
they walk on a set where there's they are there with their group of people,
Hmm.
uh, and but when they walk out into the world, everyone seems as though and feels as though they know them
Yeah.
because they're coming into their living rooms or through their television set or via the internet,
Hmm.
and they feel like they are part of them.
Hmm.
And as they feel like they're part of them, they want to be more around them, more with them.
Right.
And I think the same thing works with creativity. The more you put your work out there
Hmm.
and you put your story behind it, then you're going to get people who are eh, with that fact that you put the work out there as an invitation to come into your world.
Right.
And I think it's easier for us on our end because all we have to do is sit here and talk into a camera,
Right.
and then they will determine whether or not they like us or not. So that when they finally meet us at any stage, they will be saying something like, "Yeah, I watch your stuff all the time," or "I think you guys are great," or "I think you guys suck. You should really stop doing this." But either way, they feel as though they are part of us,
Right.
and I think that's very important to understand those stages, and then actually, if you want to be friends with someone, pursue those
Right.
stages.
It's important too because it's the reason why we continue to pay them. as celebrities, right? We know they get paid millions of dollars, and we continue to give them money because we like them.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing when it comes to being a creative.
Absolutely.
Or having
100%.
to ship on your work. If you're still getting paid by your client, it is because they like you.
And the greatest thing about it is that there are always going to be haters.
Right.
There are always going to be people saying, wow, they are really grinding downstairs.
Yeah, I don't even know what that is.
There are always going to be, as I mentioned, people that are haters because they are not doing the work to get to know their audience.
Right.
And if you put the time and energy and effort into building a relationship with the person around the corner, the person down the street, the person in the restaurant, and you tell them, and I don't mean sell them, I mean tell them about who you are, what you do, then eventually they get to know you. You get to know more about them. And at some point, if you're not a butthole, they're going to like you.
Yeah.
And when your work does appear, they are going to feel as though they are part of that.
Right.
And I think oftentimes we do the opposite. We put our work out there and then we run into the corner and say, I hope they like it.
I hope they like it. And they have no reason to.
No.
Because you haven't built that structure. And that one thing we always talk about on the show together is building that relationship.
Sure.
And I think there's a big difference between needing to be liked or needing actual likes.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like when you get the false likes on your social media channel, there's no worth for in you, right? No. And it doesn't instill any push and pull, give and take in an actual relationship to lie there. So you can hit that button and then move on. And then unfortunately, a lot of us have valued ourselves by how many times people hit that button, right? Which we should be valuing ourselves on how many good things people can say about us because we've curated our relationships and we've gone out of our way to build relationships in person and on these platforms to where we're actually providing value for people and they're doing the same for us.
There was you speaking about online likes, there's a Russian photographer whom I follow quite a bit. And I found that she had a Facebook page and I liked one of her images.
You like one of her images?
Yeah, I got it.
It's all good.
Anyway, the story will be good. Hold on. She's a Russian.
So yeah.
Yeah, she's in Russian, and I liked one of her images. I just simply liked it. I didn't love it. I didn't heart it or anything. I got this beautiful line back from her that said, "Thank you so much for liking my work. And I'm going to have more work out, and I hope you find it just as interesting."
Okay.
Oh, my God. Now I want to research everything about it.
Right.
Because she sent me a personal thing that said, "Robert Rostick, thank you."
And that's important.
And it was super important instead of just going, you liked.
Right.
But I think reaching out to the people, reaching out to your audience, the people that do like your work and put a love or a like on it, is to respond to them. And when you do that, you empower them to be a greater part of your life and part of your creativity as well.
And doing it in a length of time to where it hasn't, not putting too much time in between that engagement and your response.
Oh, absolutely.
I recently made this mistake within the last couple of weeks when I gave the talk down in Largo, and I got collected some business cards, and the week got by me, the second week got by me, and now I'm in this position of I can still reach out to these people, but I don't have the same connection now as I did had I reached out the day after or even the day of. You know what I mean? So like started drilling down into those relationships sooner and pulling them into, hey, I find what you're doing valuable. And I do want to start some kind of communication with you because eventually I am going to want to send you an email. I am going to want to work with you. I am going to want to sit down with you and interview you. But now that is a harder thing. I don't think it's not impossible, but it's a harder thing to do because now they have to think, well, which one were you? Or
correct, yes.
Who were you? And what did you talk about?
Right.
Where at the beginning, it would have been, oh, yeah, I remember we just talked about that. You just did that yesterday. Mm-hmm. Yeah, let's sit down and let's have a conversation. So,
and you're not trying to sell them.
No.
You're simply bringing them into your circle.
Right.
And we talked about this earlier about what that circle looks like.
Mm-hmm.
In the fact that if it's a closed circle, you're telling somebody, I don't need you in here. I don't want your I don't want your relationship. I don't want anything to do with you. But if you leave that circle somewhat open, you leave a pathway into that circle, and you respond to people,
right,
then they know that there's a door open for them,
mm-hmm.
and that they can come in.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's super important to the creatives who are shy. It's nothing more than to reach out by saying thank you, and that opens the door. But
right.
by doing what you said you did, which was letting time go by, people forget
mm-hmm.
you.
Yeah, they do forget you.
And I don't care how great you think your work is. The other part of that is
there's more people out there doing the same thing you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. They're doing the exact same thing you're doing. And your work, even though it may be unique and or special now, in 2 days, somebody will find out how you did it and then copy it and do it even better.
Right.
So I think that difference between liked, which is pressing a button, and then seeking to be liked is big. The difference is you're doing the work of extending your hand out.
Yeah. I would like to know what Mason and Alex's take is on this, because Alex is in high school.
Yeah. And that's the ultimate place
right.
where you either liked or you're dead.
Right.
One or the
and
other.
That 4-letter word in that context.
Oh my goodness.
It is probably, it's been a long time since I've been in high school. You yourself. I forget what that word actually means in that context. Do you have anything else to? How is it different and where from your perspective?
I think it's different in a way that like online likes are just people talk about it. Did you see how many likes I got on my picture? I feel I've never heard my mom I've heard my mom say it in a joking way when she's got 3 likes on a picture, but people are serious in high school. They're like, I got 600 likes on that. Did you see that? So I think it definitely makes it's a temporary happiness in a lot of ways. But at the end of the day, it's not the same as going into class and having actual friends.
Right.
I mean, it doesn't matter how many likes you have at the end of the day. If you have people that actually like you in person,
right,
that's obviously way more important.
Yeah.
But I feel like from a business perspective, it's super important. To more likes you have, the more reach you have. So I think there's something there.
Yeah.
And that is, as we're finding, like people can pay for people to go and like your stuff.
Yeah.
And so therefore it's not really authentic. And it was like, oh, the more likes you have and the more engagement, and then, people can sponsor you and they're looking for, that number. How big is it? But I do think that that's kind of changing right now, and that we're finding people watch this show, watch our podcasts and listen and stuff, and don't engage, don't do anything. And they're like, cool show, yeah. And you're like, what?
Yeah,
oh my God.
Right.
So I think that's becoming like an invalid measurement. I think we do, we want to reach, and I don't know how, I feel like just meeting people, we're actually getting the validation of that this is something.
Yeah.
And
I think being liked is valuable for you as a person inside your structure as a business, branding, networking structure. I think getting likes and valuing yourself on those likes online is I think it hurts in the way that people put their worth into it.
Oh yeah, right.
There is some value in it because other people are looking at you and they're deciding if they're going to like you based on how many other people have liked you as well. So I think there's a double-edged sword. Yeah.
Yeah. The high school portion of it, you're going to get 600 people liking you because of the fact that you're in high school,
right?
And there are 600 people that see you every day,
right?
Every 2 seconds. But once you leave that high school and you venture on into the adult world, you're going to find that number just going to decrease. And the thing that I really want to make sure that you understand is that now that you're in the real world, those likes that you get should be the ones you respond to, and those should be genuine to you.
Right. Right. And I heard this example the other day. You can always tell what kind of relationship you have with someone based on the response time.
Oh, yeah.
As
yeah,
well.
The response time.
So you know you're closer to someone based on how quickly you responded. And your relationship is probably an active, engaged relationship if you text me and I text you right back. I try not to let a whole day go in between a time when you communicate with me, because I'm like, no, she's asking me for information. And if you're asking, I'm like, oh, that means she's actually engaged. So let me go ahead and respond right now or within this same, 30 minutes or day time span. So I think those things are just being conscious of those things are what's there's the value in the whole thing, is being conscious of the relationships that you're having.
Now, one of the the final things, I think we're close to wrapping up on this. One of the final things about it is that I don't care how much you how much you respond to somebody's email or thanks or anything. If you're not credible with that, it's going to backfire on you. So your work has to be credible. Your ethics have to be credible within the group that you're going after. And you yourself as the whole person, we talked about being two different people, you yourself have to be credible. So those things are very important.
Right. And there's this one thing where I'm like, when you mention your work, because I think your work can be very, it doesn't have to be as polished. But if people know that you're going to show up,
sure,
they'll keep calling you. I've had many situations where I am not the best person at, I can't remember things, read something and then remember it. And I'm really bad at that, right? But I know consciously I'm going to show up every time they need me. So they keep calling me, right? Because I'm like, I want to show, I'm going to be reliable as hell, because I'm going to let you down on this side over here with remembering things. But in other circumstances, I'm going to, I want to make up for it by being reliable.
Sure.
Yeah.
You had.
Well, I was thinking about that. Yeah. In being a professional artist and stuff like that, whatever you're doing, being a, I can't think of the word right now. Anyways, you have to have some sort of likable personality for people to want to work with you. Your work can be amazing and the perfect thing, but if you're hard to be in contact, if you're hard to be around, if whatever is breaking down the relationship, the monetary relationship, it's awful.
Yeah.
And you do have to think about how you present yourself to people and make sure that you're not a pain in the ass.
Yeah. I've seen decisions literally come down for artists to get jobs really based on if they're likable or not. And that's it's a real thing,
Yeah.
And they have the talent, they have the know-how, they have the experience. They're hard to work with.
Right.
And that one thing cancels out everything, and it just makes it impossible.
I also feel like, though, I meet people who, and still, even as an adult, it definitely happened a lot when I was younger, but who are also adults, but are so desperate to be liked. And that creeps me out, and it makes me go, oh, I gotta go.
Been there, seen that.
Yeah,
and I'm like, I don't know what to do. And then, with my arts and health brain on, I want to be compassionate, but it's this weird boundary issue, and I don't know. It's a strange. But I do.
You don't want to feed the creepiness.
Exactly, and my gut instinct is repulsed.
Right.
No, I'll never be friends with you. But that's not right either. And those people need to be taught how to. I think
you can learn that. I think you can learn, and I think that's just more of a self-awareness issue than anything, right? Being able to read the signs. If someone's tired of you, it's on their face. If someone doesn't want to be around you, it's in their body language. And being able to read that and to put yourself in check. and then to not keep pushing into that situation, I think is more of a self-awareness issue than a I need to be liked issue. You know what I mean? There's a whole other thing going on.
Yeah, it does go hand in hand though.
Yeah, yeah. Robert Rostick.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have to wrap this one up.
Let's wrap this one up.
Yeah.
But before we wrap it up,
yes, sir.
Please let us know where to find you.
Okay. Again, trgstudio.net. And if you're in the Tampa area, come near the airport and you'll find me.
Close to the airport.
Literally be flying around.
on the other side of the airport.
On the other side of the airport, yeah.
And me, Bevo, Brian Valton, you can find me at beachandmain.com or hit me up on unmanageables.com. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn.
Well, I think we're on all of those.
And
YouTube. Yeah.
We're
And you know
everywhere.
what? Like, please like, share, and follow this channel on YouTube. Get this and subscribe because we need, I really want to push the YouTube channel because that's where all this information, all these videos are going to lie. So do all 3 or 4 of those things for us. And we'll check back in with you later on.
And just remember that being unmanageable is a good thing. So take some time out. And therefore, we're out.